Well, good morning, everybody. Happy Sunday, and welcome to, Solutions with Shanti. I'm just very happy to be here as well. And we used to have in the past Soulful Sunday, right when we began the channel, and I'm definitely bringing that back. And I can't imagine anything more. I love Sundays. It doesn't matter what your belief system is. To me, Sundays, and I used to hate it as a kid because I was at boarding school. So on a Sunday meant I had to get ready to go to school and I had to pack my bags, and it was just awful. And somehow over the years, I've just gotten used to Sundays being really cool days. So to have some soul nurturing conversations on a Sunday for me is always amazing. Sarisha, my beautiful, beautiful friend, and my light is giving me a lot of trouble here today. But anyway, it's a crazy lighty day here with all the wind and the rain and the thunder going on over here. Sarisha, how are you? Welcome. It's so, so, so good to have you. How's it going?
Wow. Hi, Chantal. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me today. It's an absolute pleasure, honor to be with you and to connect and to share. So I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too. It's been such a. When did we actually physically see each other the last time?
Wow.
Because I was living in Thailand.
Yeah.
And I know we've seen each other in between then.
Mm-hmm.
But I know sometimes when I would go to Joburg, you were not there.
I was not there.
And stuff like that. So
when
yeah.
was your last trip to Joburg?
That was last year.
Okay, no, then it wasn't last year. It was the year before. So 2022,
right.
perhaps?
Yeah, probably. So it wasn't that long ago. But anyway, it's really good to have you. And to our viewers, Sarisha, and as you might have read in the description, Sarisha is absolutely one of my nearest and dearest friends. We've known each other for more than 20 years. And the first time I met you, you walked. Hang on. No, I'm going to tell the story about how I actually got to meet you, which is actually quite fascinating.
Yeah.
I used to do corporate work at some companies on monthly days. We did this wellness work, and we used to go in and do certain things and what have you. And while I was there, I was doing certain stuff, and Sarisha's husband, who I had never met before, came in to see me, and we had a chat about a lot of things. So, and I think that was twice that happened, that actually Carmel came and saw me. And then literally and honestly, out of everyone that I saw, I only remembered him. It was so crazy because you can bring people in and you can sort of, know and meet people and what have you. But then there's one or two people that always kind of stick out, right? And Carmel was one of them. And about a year after that, you called me because he had taken my number to give to you. And it was about a year after that, you called me and you explained to me who you were. And I said, oh, yeah, I know your husband is. And I explained what he looked like. It was so incredible that he actually brought us together, Carmel.
He did.
And since then, we've just actually walked this incredible path and this journey together. And it's like almost like a quarter of a century, right?
24 years.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. But listen, it's so, so good to see you. And I'm so grateful to have you on Solutions this morning.
Thank you.
And I know for most of our American viewers, it's like some godforsaken time in the middle of the night there. But I'm grateful to have you here at my early 10 o'clock anyway. So, Sarisha, I would love to hear, just from you, your journey. But hang on, before I even get to that, sorry. I want to just point out that we also started SunKidz together, actually. For those of you guys who know, I often speak about the SunKidz and stuff like that. Morna did the animations and the creative stuff on that. But the original idea of SunKidz came when you and I were working together. And I'll never forget where I was, what I was doing. We were in my healing room in Falcon.
Yeah.
And suddenly, boom, I said, Sarisha. And I just took out my book and I started writing. And I was speaking and you were adding things in. And we would just had this amazing combination and culmination of energies. And then the first workshop, SunKidz workshop I did in Namibia in 2007, and you were there. You came with me on one of my Namibia trips.
Yeah.
And we did the first SunKidz workshops. And was that when Linda Tucker was there? Yes, Linda Tucker was there as well.
Yeah, I think that was.
Was she there? Yes, that's right. Because we still got
Yeah.
pictures from the White Lions, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, and also for those of you who have the book and it's on Amazon, My Gaia, Sarisha has contributed there we go, look at it, I love it. That's the original hard copy. Wow, that was the first original prints we did, right? They don't look the same anymore, they're now just the normal, as per Amazon. But those were sort of specifically, I wanted those to be in a specific way. Wow. So Sarisha has contributed the chapter on reflexology as well. I mean, really, really, really amazing what you've done there, because you've obviously gone on to study a lot of alternative healing modalities as well. Anyway, enough about me. So I wanna ask you just to share from your side. And just however you feel comfortable. If I ask questions you're not comfortable to answer, you're welcome to just say, actually, Caleb Jade, when I interview him, he squeaks me. He's got a squeaker. And if I've asked a question, he won't answer, he'll squeak me. So you can imagine the whole show is just full of squeaks. You know me better than anyone.
For sure.
Yeah. Anyway, over to you, beautiful.
Well, just to add what you had mentioned about us meeting, I definitely believe that there is synchronicity in every person that we meet. And I was at a crossroads at that time. And what's interesting is my husband actually does not go for, at that time, did not go for readings or healings. It was all very new to him. So when he came home with your number, I was really surprised. It was unusual. And obviously it was to connect the two of us, to bring us together. I remember meeting you for the first time and a bit unsure. I was practicing, or I had resigned from optometry and I felt a pull towards the healing arts. I was training in Reiki with my mom, who's a Reiki master. I was doing reflexology at the time. And then when I met Chantal, it opened up a whole new world of healing and the possibility. I mean, she was way ahead of her time. Some of the techniques and tools that I learned in Chantal's training courses, probably 2005 or 6, I still use today with emotional healing. And so what happened from then to now is I've been on a personal healing journey, which has allowed me to become a healer as well. And like a calling, a purpose. It's like meeting Chantal, going through my journey over the last 2 decades and a bit, has allowed me to access information of very deep wisdom within myself through your guidance. And I'm living my life's purpose right now with healing and coaching. So in Australia. at a beautiful.
Don't even talk about those Aussies. I'm so tired of them. Seriously. If they're not beating us in rugby or cricket, then they're
Oh, that's
stealing
true
my
too.
besties. Yeah.
So yeah,
Wow.
been quite a journey, ups and downs. We've been through tears of joy and challenges together, joy and sadness, and
Yeah.
highs
Jeez,
and
haven't you
lows.
just?
Mm.
It's been incredible, actually. It's such a blessing to be able to walk a path like this with someone like you, because there are few people who get me, and I really mean that. When it comes to I have a spark of an idea that enters my mind, and it comes from, I know it's straight from God. And there's not even a doubt. And it like lights up a candle, or it lights up a room, and suddenly this information just flows. And I would write and I would write, and you would always be the person that I would go, oh my gosh, Sarisha, you've got to listen to this. And you are my guinea pig.
Yes,
You were my
I
guinea
love
pig.
it.
It was so awesome. I would say, this is what I felt like. Please, you've got
Yeah,
to do this. I have to try this. And you were so willing, and just so you trusted this new, because it's nothing I'd heard from anyone. I'd not learned this stuff from anyone. It just came to me. And it was just so amazing. And then there was a group of people. Remember the first workshops that I was teaching in Joburg?
yes.
And there was a group of students that I used to have. Cornell was one of them as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then we would do these amazing workshops together, and everyone would just like open up in their own way. And this was like so new to me. I'd be sitting there with my
Mm-hmm.
notes, writing, the information. It was just incredible. Those early days of what we're doing now were
Yeah.
just phenomenal, right?
Created, or it laid a foundation for us to build on.
Yeah, absolutely. But you've had an interesting journey as well. And I mean, I would love for you to be able to share as much as what you feel comfortable sharing from, because I think the first major thing that we encountered was your accepting the infertility that you guys had, and the journey you went through with it.
Yeah.
And I know that's quite a common thing amongst women, especially in recent years. And I know since then you've also made it your business to do a lot of research on that, and run workshops and do talks and stuff on women and couples who are facing infertility. And that's also because of what you've gone through. So I'd love for you to maybe start there and just share with us what you've experienced.
So, yeah, it was 12 years of going through the ups and downs, the roller coaster. You walked with me every step of the way with that. It was a real emotional, painful time at times, accepting where we were. And in hindsight, I realized it was part of the path that I needed to walk. It was part of the journey. I believe that each challenge that we experience, with it comes a gift. And I think the gift for me was realizing that what we think or feel or believe to be, or what we think we can control, to be able to receive the outcome, or an objective, or in this case, a baby, may not actually be what is meant for us, or what is our higher guidance requesting, or the wish that we put out there. What I'm trying to say is that we sometimes become attached to the path that we are to walk. The universe may
Yes.
have other plans for us. And what I learned from that is that the word surrender comes in, and releasing the attachment.
Oh
What we
yeah.
think is
Oh
best
yeah.
for us.
What was the attachment at that time that you were facing? And I specifically asked that question with purpose and intent, because I remember also going through so many discussions with you at the time about choices and stuff like that you
Yeah.
guys were facing.
Yeah.
And really, at the end of the day, we know that there was this beautiful soul that was just waiting to call herself your daughter, right? We
For
knew
sure.
that.
Yeah.
But it was just which way was God actually going to bless you guys in
That's
this
right.
way? And I think that had to be something that we had to surrender to, right? Or you had. So listen to me, I was, listen to me, how's that for a Freudian slip? Because it felt like me. I can honestly say that every disappointment you had, it felt like it was my disappointment. Every time your hopes were up, it felt like it was just such a crazy time, but it was such a beautiful, beautiful time as well. So yeah, I mean, it was amazing, right? Just to surrender and get to that place of surrendering and saying, okay, well, I know that this child is coming through. I just don't know which avenue you have in store for me. So let me just sit back and not decide and have that control, right? That it had to be out of my own womb, right?
That's right.
That is able.
It. Yeah, that is it.
Right.
It's about the physical body and what we believe that the body should do, or it's about making peace or finding that acceptance again and loving my body, even though it was going through what it was going through. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, because I think when you go through...
No, go on. No, I said that takes a lot of courage. It takes strength, especially when you're being invited to a baby shower every weekend and you're...
Sarisha,
right?
My heart bled for you. And when your friends are having babies and your siblings and your in-laws, it's all that time where everyone is having babies around you.
And you know, for me personally, I really celebrated for them in that time of knowing that they were pregnant. I enjoyed every moment and I was right there with them. And in my own space, in my own time, going deep within myself, I realized the sadness that I was actually carrying. And that's what we worked on a lot, is letting go of that, the pain, the emotional pain that comes with that. And again, it's the up and the down, and you feel like you're okay and then you're not, and then you're okay and then you're not. I mean, people watching this may resonate with that if you're going through a journey of that nature.
Right.
So yeah, it's about acceptance of the physical body. And I think we'll talk about it a little bit more when we come to the next part of what we're discussing.
Right.
Something else I wanted to mention, that we have the other word that came up is patience. You've got to be patient. You don't know. It could be a year, it could be a few months, it could be a longer time than that. And it's trust as well, right? Not trusting.
Absolutely. But trust and control are synonymous, right? When you have that lack of trust, control sets in. And it was a big thing to let that, to just get to that point of surrender, because that took a lot of trust. And then when you trusted that, you could let that control go, because that automatically happens. So the minute the trust happened, I mean, I would love for you, if you don't mind, just to share how the next step with your little one came about, because that in itself is a miracle. And I want to say something here, because Sarisha, them I know in the beginning were not keen on adoption, right? And I know also in the Indian community, it's not something that's very common. Because very often, you know, if there's an Indian baby, especially, often the families, because they're so big and extended, will keep that child, even if it is a little oopsie, right? So the idea that you guys were going to be able to get a baby of the same ethnicity as you was doubtful to begin with, right? But anyway, please carry on from there.
Well, I think from that, I remember in the month prior to that, probably about 6 months prior to that, I went into very deep meditation, prayer, surrender, fasting, lots of fasting. I'm not a religious person, but very spiritual. And I believe that opened up a channel of connection that in making one call led to so much more opening up in miraculous ways, in unexpected ways. Maybe I'll share the details with that on another call. But basically, it was that miracles may take a little time. And as you said, with the trust and patience, it happened, miraculously, unexpectedly. Once I surrendered and accepted that there may be a different path, and I actually remember the surrender process in my healing room where I knelt down and literally just put my arms
surrendered.
up and surrendered. Yeah.
Wow.
So, once we accept that there may be a different path, everything just sped up without even controlling anything. One step after the other fell into place. Yeah.
It did, didn't it? And that's the incredible thing. So, how did it come about that you guys were able to adopt? If you're comfortable sharing with that.
Maybe for another time. But basically, I think it was a higher power guiding that process together with what we were doing. It's the doing and the being, right? So
you're right.
Doing what we needed to do, and then being in that moment of the surrender and the acceptance.
And an alignment, right? Complete alignment. Yeah. And then that's when, you know, everything just fell into place and you guys were able to then obviously receive
absolutely
this little soul that had been
a little
taunting you. That had been taunting you for all these years.
And it was that little SunKid that brought me the actual book when I was looking for it earlier today. And she said, "This is what you're looking for, Mom."
Oh, wow. Oh, you just give her a hug. She's so precious. Yeah, she's so precious. Wow.
And I think a lot of what we are talking about, there was so much shifting of energy within myself, within ourselves first, to create that alignment that you're talking about, which is, there are four pillars, and we used to talk about that. You always share that right in the early days with the physical, the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual. And I think that's what the surrender led to, is that alignment on all levels, on all aspects of being, which then opened up the pathway, direct pathway to create that, the manifestation of the miracle that we received.
Absolutely. Gosh, I remember that so well. When you called me, we were just like, what? Yeah. And it was so happened, boom, boom, boom. And then you had it. Wow. And then she arrived. That's just incredible. Anyway, wow. And of course, the perfect little family fit you guys are. It's just incredible to see, actually. Yeah. But anyway, more about her on another day. And then, of course, along the way as well, you had a cancer scare. Do you want to share that with us? At what point did that happen?
So that was 2 years. Yeah, so our little one was two and a bit. 2015, I went through, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. It was quite interesting because I had a feeling, I had a knowing that it was what it was. And yet at the same time, I was really very calm. So I was in acceptance of the diagnosis. And you were there with me again to support that process. And the build up to the surgery, this big surgery, there was so much within a week. It was about 7 days that we processed and released and cleared and brought in so much healing, lifetimes of healing.
Right.
Through that time.
Absolutely. I remember that so well. Yeah.
And I think when one receives a diagnosis like that, whether it's a fertility diagnosis or a cancer diagnosis, whatever illness, whenever it's about illness, we tend to be in a space of feeling like a victim. Why is this happening to me?
Yeah.
Those are the kinds of questions we ask. Why am I having to go through this? I may have asked those questions, and at the same time, I had a realization that this is happening for me to grow, to learn, to heal on a soul level, on a much deeper level.
Right. That, Sarisha, that right there, and is exactly the golden key that turns everything around. Not from why is this happening to me, and then becomes, wow, it's happening for me. Look what is happening for me, because these are really opportunities to expand, right? And to grow and to dig so much deeper than what you ever have dug before. And these situations, and I find especially, it's so many people at this stage of their personal spiritual development, whatever, have chosen really tough lifetimes to deal with stuff like that, right? And it's just so good to see people grow. So you turn the victim into
what I call a creator.
I was about to say, the creator, which is incredible, because from that you then start molding your gold, right? Because that's where the alchemy sits. That's exactly the point where the spiritual alchemy sits. And that's the point. That perspective is what changes everything. Everything. And you realize every person that comes into your life has been a teacher for you, not an abuser to you, although I understand that is very real as well. But in the same time, on the other side of that, what have you learned through that experience? And what is it teaching you? Because if we can focus our awareness on that, because some things are beyond our control. I mean, your health diagnosis was beyond your control. You really just were thrown into the deep end. And especially shortly after your infertility, right? And then with the cancer. I'm interested, do you think that some of the infertility processes you guys went for, do you think that could have had anything to do with the cancer a few years later?
So I have asked oncologists about that. Yes, during an IVF cycle, you are pumped with hormones, which I believe could impact the physical body. They say that there isn't enough research at this point to prove that it does. However, if I go deeper into it and we look at the 4 pillars, It's actually the mind and fear
Right.
and negativity, right?
Right.
So
Exactly.
even though physiologically, there are hormone changes through IVF, which
Sure.
may result in cancers. But deeper than that, where is the mind at? What fear am I holding on to that is creating this physical manifestation? And how can I release that? How can I clear that? What intentions can I set for myself that I release myself and put myself into a more positive, optimistic way of being, of thinking, feeling, actions, which then create your reality.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And one thing I want to add, when we spoke about the victim, which is like a V, we sink to the bottom of that space, which pulls us down into a lower vibration. But
I
if we
like
turn
that.
it around and it becomes a C, we're opening up, we're creating more of a flow, right? It's more like a
Yes.
circle.
Yes. And
And
then you can release.
you
Yeah.
can release, yes, through that. Yeah.
What did that experience of just going through that whole oncology experience, I don't know how else to call it,
Yeah.
that whole process? I mean, I know you had some interesting experiences as well when you were going for some of your treatments there. How was that for you? What did you learn about yourself during that time?
Look, it can be very scary, which again taps into the fear energy. It can be overwhelming, which creates an emotional disconnect from a higher or source. It puts so much pressure on relationships. It puts pressure on how you feel about yourself. It made me question, who am I? What am I doing here? What is my purpose? What is it that I'm meant to get from this? How can I change from within myself so that I create a different reality as I move and go through this experience? I've also learned that it's teamwork. So we have a medical team of doctors, oncologists, surgeons that are working on the physical body. And then we also have like a team on a personal level, whether that is family, friends, spouse, children, that support on so many levels. And if that team can come together and create cohesion or an alignment, and I've realized that we need both. I feel for me, for my body, I've needed the allopathic or the medical route, as well as the energy of the healing route, family, people that are there to hold your hand, to cross that finish line of knowing I've done this, I can do this, no matter what comes my way. So that was a huge learning for me. That
Your cheerleaders, oh boy. And you
yeah,
have your cheerleaders, that's for sure.
yeah,
You
that's for
definitely have
sure.
a team of them. And I know that
Definitely.
each and every one of the people in your life has been invaluable. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's again, realizing that we have the physical support as well as the energetic support, and we cannot do one without the other. So it's the medication or the medicine as well as meditation, or the
Exactly.
what may be a
Doing
little
the inner
airy
work, the
fairy,
shadow work. The
shadow work.
shadow work.
The
Yeah, it's
shadow
super
work.
important.
Yeah.
Because when we look at illness, we know that the body is designed to heal itself. I have no doubt in my mind that is, our body is a manifestation of our spirit. It is our spirit in physical form. So whatever we're going through on a physical level is experiences we need to learn and grow through. And the more we are challenged, the more we are required to actually sit and go within. My favorite Bible verse is, be still and know that I am God. So when you are still in that moment and you just allow Spirit, God, to work with you, through you, that's what heals. And it gives a sense of consciousness. It gives an understanding as well, And that's, for me, Sarisha, any bit of healing is about that. It's about understanding. And sometimes it's through our own doing. Other times it's through someone else's doing, through which you've had no control over. Sometimes it's a lot of childhood trauma. I mean, the more I work with SRA, the more I see just how these monsters that inflict these wounds upon these children know exactly what to do, how to do it, to try their damnedest to break that human spirit, to push them to the point of no return, to get them to do such depraved things as they grow up into adults that there's just no turning back for them, right? We see that a lot in what we work with. So it really is about understanding that to be in alignment, to sit with yourself, to understand that your body is designed to heal itself, and to do whatever it does. Each person is individual. For them to get to that place of understanding what it is they need to do for themselves. This is not a one size fits all. This is not one medication that's going to help 1,000 people. This is about each person finding their individual key that unlocks their individual doorway to their unique spirit and their unique voice that is going to be their healing balm. And that's what we discover when we do this kind of work. It's something you can't explain to anyone. It's something you experience as you go along. So, of course, as you can imagine, especially sitting on this platform, I get tons of criticism. I get accused of being a witch. I get accused of being a witch doctor as well. I mean, they must come to South Africa. I'll show them a witch doctor. Right. So that's what I'm saying. But you can do it. You can do it in the way that the dark forces do it, that manipulates energies in order to control. Energy is energy. If we look at the way in the beginning, you go right back to the beginning, and the way our forefathers understood energy, they broke it down into its most minuscule particle and vibration, right? So energy is energy, and it's unemotional. You can use it for light or dark. So what these guys have discovered is how to manipulate energy. And that's the mind control they do, and they use kids as guinea pigs so that they can manipulate and mind control kids, and they're very, very clever in how they do it. Or you go the other way, where you just allow yourself, you understand you are in alignment with the force, the God force, source, your divine creator that has created you, loves you, adores you unequivocally, has eyes for you and only you, and you know that the person walking next to you is the same thing going on there. So there's no need to be jealous. You don't compete. You work together. You work together for a greater good. You put ego aside as much as what you can. We all have ego. My ego definitely comes out to play, but I know when I need to put it away as well. Yeah. So get over your shit, right? And we kind of have this way that we work together in a unified way, because through that is how we heal ourselves, is how we then, it's like being a candle and just having other candles being lit from you. It takes nothing away from you, but it enables a lot of growth and healing for all. And that's, we've got to discern, are we manipulating energy, or are we actually allowing ourselves to be guided by a force that is much greater than us, because we know we can trust this force, because we know who and what it is, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think also, what's also important, or what's been important for me, is not having a label attached to what I'm going through. And that may mean,
so important,
right? So even if I talk about the cells in my body, yeah, I've been diagnosed with cancer, but it's not me as such. It's not that
doesn't
I
define
have
you.
cancer.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes.
Or
yes.
infertility, I've actually used the word fertility rather than infertility, focusing on the wellness rather than the actual illness.
That would, yeah, exactly.
Right?
So you focus on what works, and not what doesn't work. You take what you've learned from what doesn't work, because at the end of the day, everything actually works in the way that it should, right? You got to take the lesson from every experience and apply it to where you're at now, right?
For sure. And I think it's also important to allow the down days, to allow the days
absolutely,
where you feel the sadness, where you feel like everything is falling apart. Because it's like the Tower card in the tarot, right? Where it's this crumbling. And in order to be rebuilt, we've got to feel like we are falling apart. So there will be times, and I've had many, where it's a low period. It's quiet time. It's sad time. And in suppressing it, we're not really doing ourselves much good. And we just need to have the correct
That's an opportunity to rebuild, it's because any foundation that is not built on truth, every foundation that is built on some type of deception is not going to be long lasting. It can't be. The time is going to come when it's the same thing, when we're kids, we get taught this story, if you build your house on a sandy dune, how long is that going to last? It's going to last you all of 3 months, maybe, right? Or you need to have a solid foundation on which to build. And that solid foundation is what you now you learn from your mistakes. To me, that breaking down, and we've all had it at some point or the other. Some call it the dark night of the soul. Others call it my rebirth, my death and my rebirth, right? And it's a rebirth of your spirit. It's a rebirth of your courage. It's having understood something that does not work for you, or some things that don't work for you, and you have to break that down. You have to let that go. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to throw the bricks away. You can rebuild using the same bricks, just putting them in different places, recycling, using it for a different purpose. You see, maybe the puzzle pieces just weren't in the right place. And we've got to stop being so hard on ourselves, We are so judgmental of ourselves mostly. We beat ourselves up around every corner, and then we complain that other people are judgmental towards us. Hello? It's only because we're doing it to ourselves, right? Wow. So, and then, of course, lastly, Sarisha, you recently emigrated. How was that for you? I mean, it's a big thing. I know your families are mostly your families in Australia now as well, so it's not like you're all on your own there. But how was emigrating amidst all of this? Because goodness me, you've been through a lot.
Yes, because in between all of that, it was during the pandemic. I did a consciousness coaching course, so I became a coach. And through that process, it also unlocked a lot within me that I may have still been holding on to, because I had a second diagnosis in 2021, which was a metastatic diagnosis, meaning that there was a spread. And again, that came as a surprise. And in that process, during that time, we were applying to to relocate to Australia. So it was one thing after another that was needing attention. And I think, again, that gave me a second opportunity to go even deeper into what we've been talking about. And during that time, we sat and spoke about new beginning, change, an adventure, something exciting, something that is going to, again, open up new opportunities or different experiences for us. And that came with its own set of challenges, having just been diagnosed with a metastatic cancer. And that also worked out in miraculous ways. So having then emigrated and being on the side, I see it, I've been thinking a lot about the tarot, and it's like the fool that starts out on this adventure. It's like he's got his sack on his back and he's about to wander off into the unknown, which is pretty much what this has been in many ways. Leaping into the unknown, taking that, having faith in knowing that things will work out. I think having a support structure with my brother and family being here and my parents now as well makes it more fulfilling. It's it's beautiful having the family support, being closer to them here. It's a blessing, an absolute blessing. I think any change throws us out of our comfort zone, something we've been used to for many decades, living in one country.
Yeah, you guys, I mean, you guys really, you've had change, so much change all the time, because you also, before that, you were living in London for 2 years.
That's true,
I mean,
actually. Yes, we did live in London
so
as well.
you've been gallivanting around. I mean, seriously.
Yeah. And I think it's so wonderful to have different cultures, experiences. It really opens up the mind to the world. And we are becoming more global in so many ways. I mean, we wouldn't have been able to have this type of conversation.
I know. Can you believe it? I know.
It's like
if you told me 20 years ago you'd be living in Australia, I'd be very, very annoyed. I'd be very cross for 20 years.
Thank goodness that didn't happen then.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to see me sulking for 20 years.
No.
But at least we have these types of interactions, which is awesome.
Well, that's the other thing, is we miss that connection with family and friends, and the time zone, the time difference doesn't help much, but we make the time where we can to connect. And I think also being here, it's a different energy. I talk about energy, and settling into that has been a process, and a wonderful process for growth, right? For learning. I think my healing has also developed in a different way since being here. I've had to learn a lot more about myself and how I see the world, and it's been great. Again, with every challenge, we're embracing it. We're embracing the experience.
And that's nice because, even though you and I grew up quite different, we've always had families and parents very protected. We've grown up very protected, right?
Yeah.
Protected from a lot of the evils of the world. So it is going out. I mean, it is actually quite cool going out and experiencing different things, and just enjoying the world for what it is. I mean, it's really cool. Yeah. Well, Australia is lucky to have you. I just want to tell you, all you Aussies, you're very lucky to have her there.
Oh, thank you.
I just want to tell you.
So when are you coming to visit?
Yes, I'm definitely coming. Jan Breeze, I see she's in the chat. Hello, Jan. She's in Australia. She's an Aussie. She actually has, but I think she's far from you. She's near Perth. And she has an Aussie sanctuary. Sarisha, you got to go there.
Oh, wow.
All little kangaroos. You got to take your little one there.
Fantastic. Yeah, for
yes. Sure. And that's just like really, really, really amazing. And I think that's pretty cool. So, yeah, there she is. Hello, Joanne. I knew you were there. Can you see the comments, Sarisha? If you press
No, I
comments on the top
cannot.
right of your screen. Oh, yeah, top right-hand side of your screen, it says comments. Press it and we'll see the comments coming in. Yeah. Cool. Wow, what an amazing Sunday morning for me. And I know it's evening for you. Yeah, you see, do connect and pop in. Where are you living? Which area are you? Are you
In Sydney?
Sydney? That's right. So how far is that from Perth? Is it far? Is it like
Across the
very,
whole
very, very,
country.
is it like Joburg, Cape Town far?
No, more than that.
Really, that far, huh? Well, we Jan and I always joke because, especially with the little kangaroos, right? We're definitely finding a portal, and I'm going to be flying through that portal to find wherever. I'll find
Yay.
I'll find the one that takes me to Sydney, Sarisha.
You'll get there first and then you'll get to Sydney. Yeah.
Yeah. Look forward to that. I'll definitely go visit your Aussies for sure. There's way too many of you there for me to resist. I'm getting FOMO here.
Yeah, you
FOMO.
better come over here. Share your energy and your love on this side.
Yeah. Wow. Sarisha, thank you so much. It's been so awesome connecting and catching up with you again and
Thank you
sharing
so
your
much.
journey. So is there anything you would just like to say to people, share with someone before we say farewell for today?
Yeah, I think I always go by one of my favorite things is I am enough, and that is something that I've had to really accept about myself.
I am enough.
I am enough.
Always have been and always will be.
Always will be.
It's such a nice, when you feel those words and when you start feeling them, it's like almost like you start, takes a little while to settle in,
Exactly.
But when the essence of the words settle in and you feel that in your spirit again, you don't give a flying shit what anyone else thinks. And it doesn't mean you go out there and now try and impress people or unimpress them. It's not like you don't care. You just become your free being, and you don't let those who are still restricted in their minds, you don't allow them to restrict you anymore. Only restricted people can restrict people. Free people hang out with free people. So
I love that.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Really, really
Thank you,
cool.
Chantal. Thank you.
Yeah. It's been a blessing. And we'll have you on again.
Absolutely.
Talking about more stuff. Yeah, there's so much
that
more.
Would be wonderful. So much to share.
So much.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Joanne. Wow. And definitely, Joanne, this is a lady that we've got to get you together with in Australia. You two got to meet. So we'll make that work. Yeah, absolutely.
Have a beautiful day.
Everybody. Yes, and
Bye.
you too. Take care of yourselves. See you tomorrow. And don't be good now. Bye.